coming out of my dust there, and all of a sudden I hear these. I didn't trying to figure out if they caught something and they're letting everybody around them know. Is that what they do?
I think so.
Yeah, they were howling, so they must have got something pretty good. So, yeah.
Questions for Coach?
Everybody was around, knew that in the neighborhood, so my wife, don't let the dog out. Crazy.
This game you're getting ready for Saturday, but of course you don't know who you're playing, but you've got 4 Patty Caz finalists who are all getting ready to play their last game, which is at Levant. I wonder if you can get into just what it means to have had that group, and a group like this that's going out together, that's done so much and been recognized over the course of a few years now as Patty Caz finalists, being in that group together.
Well, I mean, you know, we appreciate, you know, everything they've done. You know, Lacey's in that group too. You know, they've been around a long time. They've won a lot of hockey games. They've won a lot of individual awards. They won championships. They've continued to push the bar, not only individually, but, you know, with the group that's around them. And so, you know, as a coaching staff and the support staff, you know, you're just extremely proud of them. And, you know, what puts a smile on my face is, you know, seeing what they do on a day-to-day basis and how the hard work they put into it and the commitment that they have to the game. And then as they've done that, they've got rewarded because of their effort. You know, it's not shortchanging the game. It's not taking shortcuts, whether it's in the summer working out. And so, you know, people that put themselves in that position, you know, have worked hard, and they've worked hard for a long period of time, and they deserve a lot of credit because they're the ones that have earned it. We try to put them in a position to be successful, and then, you know, it's going to be up to them to, you know, do what they can do for themselves, but more importantly, what they can do for the team. So, yeah, I mean, it's nice to see that. It's nice to see the recognition, but, you know, all that put together is not going to help you win the hockey game Saturday. You still got to go out and play.
Mark, you know, a lot of times if you know, we ask your players about kind of how they handle tough situations or kind of their poise in the clutch, they'll go back and kind of talk about you and how, you know, your demeanor on the bench kind of helps calm things. I guess I'm wondering, as a coach, has it always been that way? Has it evolved? Can you speak to that? You know, there's been an evolution in terms of, you know, that part of your coaching.
Well, it's probably a combination of, you know, several things. You know, one, you know, playing at a high level. You know, trying to figure out, you know, what it is to become a pro. I mean, you can go up there initially in the NHL and play, but can you actually become a professional and do it for an extended period of time? And, you know, one of the things you learn, or I'd learned, and generally, you know, the players that have these long careers learn that, you know, you can't get too high and you can't get too low. And I can sit up here and talk about that, but can, you know, athletes and coaching staffs and players get into that space? So, you know, one night, you know, I'm in, you know, Boston and I get a hat trick and I'm so excited, and the next night I'm, you know, back in New Jersey and, you know, I'm -3. You know, all of a sudden it's like, you know, this roller coaster you're on, and your emotions go up and down, and that's not a good space to be if you're going to have a long career in this business, whether it's being a player or being a coach. And then, you know, part of the other side of it would be, you know, I had a pretty good mentor and somebody to watch on a daily basis for a long time, and my dad, and how he conducted himself. You know, whether it was a good weekend for him or whether it was what they call it, Black Sunday, when Jeff Sauer in Colorado College ended up scoring all these goals in the 2-game goal series, and everybody thought after the first night Wisconsin was well on the way, and then the game happens and funny things take place. And you know, how's he like after that game? I mean, deep down you're frustrated, you're disappointed, but, you know, then you step away from that space and, okay, what did I do wrong as a coach? You know, how do I prepare my team if we get an opportunity to, you know, get into the NCAA tournament? And fortunately for them that year, they squeaked in as the backdoor Badgers, went up to Duluth and beat a real good Minnesota team with a bunch of Broughton's on it, and Butsy Erickson, and a team that was, you know, scheduled to win the NCAA tournament, but backdoors Badgers ended up winning, and then other than Wisconsin fans, there were a lot of people peeved off because Wisconsin actually got in the tournament and then they ended up winning it. So, and again, as a player, I experienced a lot of different things, and then as a coach, I've experienced a lot of different things. And so, as I've said before, wise people learn from experiences, and so. No different than our game on Saturday. If we're a wise person, we're going to learn from it and then move on. And as I've also said, and the players are starting to get that, then Monday comes. And what am I going to do Monday? So.
No one likes losing and falling in the way that you did on Saturday. It's kind of dumb to ask how you spin that into a positive, but is there a time frame at which you can spin a loss like what you had on Saturday into a positive for a group that still has hockey in front of them?
Yeah, I think, I turned the page as, I left the locker room Saturday after the game and got on the bus and made our way back to Madison, just because, you look at it in different phases where, our regular season ended with us against St. Cloud here winning our league championship, and then you get this 2-week tournament, and that, it ended Saturday, and Ohio State ended up winning the trophy, and then you turn the page, and if you're in a position to get another game, which we were, you start moving there. Monday comes, and then you start prepping and trying to get people on our team to, let that go, learn from it, and what can we do differently in this next Saturday's game, and that's what you focus on, because, you don't want to look in the rearview mirror. It's not going to help you out, so it's what can we do maybe a little bit better than we did last Saturday, learn from that experience, because it was a game you're playing for a trophy. If it goes your way, great. If it doesn't go your way, okay, if I get another opportunity to play for something, what can I change or what can I do a little better? And that's the sort of the space and the lane we're in as a staff, and that I'm trying to get the players to understand.
As this tournament expanded and you have this regional semifinal round on Thursday, how has your approach to how you prepare during this week changed compared to a few years ago?
Well, we've been on both sides. I remember going out to Colgate and having to play that Thursday game, and the hard part about the two teams that play Thursday, it's like, you have to really prep for two teams. So you're obviously, most focused on the game Thursday, but you got somebody in your staff figuring things out. So if you end up winning that game, who you're going to play Saturday. So just adds a little bit more to your plate and to the layers as far as getting prepped. But at this time of the year, everybody talking, it's one game, and that's where you have to focus in on. And so we'll focus in on Saturday's game, similar to last year, where you get an opportunity to watch the game Thursday night, and then have a short practice Friday, and then the whole key is to come out and, I don't want to say loose, but play free. And we're used to playing in front of our crowd. There'll be a bunch of energy in the building, and it's our ability to play up to our capabilities. And if you're able to do that, then you have a chance to be successful.
NCAA tournament games you've hosted has been a lot of success for your team. Is that something you feel like you use an advantage, or other teams maybe see it as kind of something they have to overcome, is coming in here and trying to win? Nobody's been able to do it. I don't know how you look at that.
Really, I don't, other than the fact that if you have a choice, most teams will want to play at home if they have an atmosphere that's beneficial to your team. And then it's probably somewhere in the middle where, I don't want to say, the home team's more comfortable playing at home, but they probably are. And then the visiting team, depending on who they're going up against, is like somewhere in your mind saying, oh, this is going to be hard. And so, but at this time of the year, everybody's playing for one more game. And as I've said in the past, this game, the quarterfinal game, is the most challenging. You're in the tournament, but you're not really at the tournament in my eyes, because if you end up winning this next game, then you're having different things that really make it and feel like you're in the tournament. So, yeah, it's about focusing on details. It's about focusing on the little things, and then letting all the outside distractions. Make sure you get your tickets organized and they're done by Friday, so you can spend some time on what you need to do for the game Saturday. And then when they drop the puck, it's you play freely and play with excitement. You play with energy. You play with enthusiasm, and then 60 minutes goes by, and then there's going to be a score.
Obviously, I didn't get a chance to ask you about the game Saturday. At least I wasn't up there. But Ava, if she doesn't have the game that she had, it probably would have been, maybe it wouldn't have been as close. I guess I just wondering, can you speak to, the security blanket? What's it like to have a goaltender that, for maybe a lack of a better term, kind of gives you that security blanket of knowing, hey, even if things don't go great on overall defensively, you still got that final ball back there.
Yeah. We had a bunch of good chances too in that game. Not as many, but we could have scored a few more goals, I think, too. But the game was good for Ava. If we're looking for things that are positive, from the game that we ended up losing, that would be one of them, because, she was gone for a month and didn't get, got a minute and a half or less than that of game time. And so, like a pitcher, like a quarterback who hasn't played in 6 weeks and comes back for that first game, what's it going to be like? Well, that's usually going to be a regular season game. We're asking her to come into a playoff game. So the couple games against Bemidji kept, especially both of them in the second period, she had to make some saves and give us a chance to win. She stopped a penalty shot. We went into overtime. And so those were good growing opportunities. And then to have, the game against Mankato, the same thing. There were probably 5, 6 2-on-1s in that game that, she had to make some things happen. But more importantly was the game Saturday where she got tested. And, she gave us a chance to win. And if I'm her and I'm sitting in her pads, it's like, okay, I'm back to where I need to be. And so this couple weeks has helped her and got her back into whatever you want to call it, game shape or readiness to give her, a team a chance to win. And so for her coming into Saturday's game, I got to think she's feeling pretty good about herself.
Mark, have you noticed since Saturday and the practices you've had since that your players have received the message, the hurt that they felt on Saturday, and what they need to do moving forward?
I think so. We've had a good season. We've played well in a lot of our games. We've had games where, we didn't play, but we've learned from that. And can you put all that together and come out, in a one-game scenario and play an A game? That's the object. And, I think, the game Saturday is probably more disappointing than anything, because, the theme of it was try to compete for 60 minutes, and we really didn't do that. There were times we did, but if you're going to win, especially against the opponents we're going to be up against in this weekend, and if we win the following weekend, you got to play hard for 60 minutes. And so I think having gone through it and being disappointed is an opportunity to come back and right that ship.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
I think it was a week or two ago, Layla, after one of the games, kind of talked about how well this team is able to reset. And I guess I wondered if both of you could kind of speak to kind of what goes into that, for each of you.
Yeah, I think this weekend was a learning experience for us. Obviously some adversity is good to handle, especially going into these big games coming playoffs. But I think the biggest thing is our group knows it's playoff time, and so it's pretty easy to hit that reset button. It's a completely new tournament starting Saturday, and now we're gunning for the big one, and that's really what matters. So, we've come into practice these last 2 days with a lot of energy and a ton of excitement, knowing what's ahead of us Saturday and getting to play in our own building as well. So, like I said, I think our team does a really good job of being able to hit that reset button, especially knowing what's ahead.
Yeah, I think it's easier to hit the reset button now, kind of like Simms said. It's a exciting time of year, and obviously would have loved to be able to get a win on Saturday and take home that trophy. But at the end of the day, the WCHA is a hard league to play in, and it's a good test and to kind of check us and show that if we don't show up, that we're not going to win. And it's always a good reminder, and that was kind of our last opportunity to have that reminder. So I think going into this week, we're going to bring our A game.
Ava, the Patty Cats top 3 gets announced tomorrow. I'm not going to make you pick a favorite, but of the 4 on your team that are up for that award, you faced a lot of shots in practice from that group. What is it about? I either Simsy there to your right or the other three that makes them so special?
Yeah, I think, you know, if you're an average person in Madison and you decide to come to our game, when you watch our game, those 4 players are going to stick out. They make a massive difference in all different ways. They all have different things that they excel at and that stick out, and they make a difference. They're difference makers at the end of the day, and you know, they're super talented and able to create something from nothing and be able to, you know, turn away chances from great players on the other end. And so just to be able to have 4 Patty Cas, a top 10 finalist on our team, I think is just a testament to our program itself and what we're able to do, and being able to compete against great players day in and day out is something that, you know, our program really holds a high standard to, and it makes everyone better in the process.
Kirsten, you get one last go at Levant. What are the emotions like on that? A few days out from it, but also what do you want to leave the people who may see you for the last time play at Levant with memories of?
Yeah, I mean, I just think having the most fun we can possible. And if we do that and we do what we can, we're going to come away with the win, and we know that. And playoff hockey is the funnest hockey, and getting to play playoff hockey in front of the fans that we have is super special. And to get to do it another time is going to be truly incredible. And yeah, it's the last time, but we got a job to get done still, and it's definitely going to be emotional. But like I said, I'm doing alongside 25 other people that I love to be around, and just such a special group, and then get to do it in front of our fan base that has just been super incredible the last 4 years. Do whatever it takes to just leave somewhat of a mark here with the group that we have, and hopefully go out with the way we want to in the next few weeks.
Both seen it over the last couple of years at an NCAA day at Levant is a little bit different. Feels like there's more energy in crowd, even though it's already pretty high. Can you kind of give some description to that? What those Saturday afternoons with a Frozen Four spot on the line are like, and what some of the team kind of has to walk into to try and beat you in that atmosphere?
Yeah, I think I kind of thought about it today. I was kind of just like looking at the rink and just thinking about it. Like, you know, I've never played Quinnipiac, but I know that, you know, they're coming into a rink that they've never really played in either, and they don't really know what's coming at them in terms of, you know, the actual hockey. Like, we haven't played each other, and we have no idea how that's going to pan out. But you know, we have such great fans that fill it every day. But then to have the energy on the ice as well as in the stands. It's a really hard place to play, and it's something that we take a lot of pride in. And to be able to have a place that's hard to play in, I think it's really unique and really special, and something that you know, might help us have the edge on Saturday.
Yeah, I think also one thing that's special about our building too is, and our league specifically, is all these teams get to come in and play us every year in front of this fan base. And I mean, you hear teams talk about it nonstop, how fun it is for them to go play at Levant because of our crowd. Like, whether or not they're cheering for them or us, like, they just think it's super cool what we get here. And I think that's something special about our league in general, whereas a team, or the teams that are coming here this week, they've never played in a building this full. Like, no matter what it's going to be, like, who knows how many people are going to show up even Thursday. It's probably going to be more than they're used to in their own building, in the ECAs here, in their leagues at home. And so I think as special it is for us, and as incredible and the energy is for us, it's also cool for other teams to experience that and kind of experience that building. But for us, at the end of the day, we get our fans, we get our home fans that get more pumped than anyone you'll ever see, especially for playoff hockey. And I think that's one of the funnest things, and something I'll talk about forever about Wisconsin.
Ava, do you feel like you're on your game now? I mean, you didn't play quite, you know, for about a month. You didn't see a lot of game action. Do you feel like you're on your A game right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's, you know, it could be tough to step right back into playoff hockey, but at the end of the day, we're elite athletes for a reason, and, you know, you prepare for these moments. And obviously there is some aspect of playing in a game that you can't really replicate in practice, but at the same time, you know, I've been doing it for 15, 16, I don't know how many years. So it's something that, you know, definitely kind of my first time at it, but at the same time, you know, I was able to, you know, pull out some great wins, you know, the first couple games, and then be able to hold my team in it and give us a chance to win, and kind of, you know, take it down to, you don't know, 6 minutes left against the number 2 team in the nation. There's not really much more you can do about it, and kind of as you saw, sometimes, you know, hockey gods are on your side, and sometimes tough bounces, and sometimes they go your way, and sometimes they don't. And that's something that everyone has to live with, and you know, I know that I gave it everything I had, and I don't really know what else I could have done, and you know, that's probably the most satisfying feeling of it all going into this weekend is, you know, I'm capable of putting together a game like that against the number 2, and you know, I know that, you know, I can do the same against whatever team comes in here.
The first time in a while, this team isn't the number 1 team in the country. Do you guys have like an underdog mentality now that maybe it's different, or is it the same old symbol?
I mean, yeah, it's not easy seeing another team in that number 1 spot, especially Ohio State coming off of the game this weekend. But I think what we've done all year has proven that we can be the best team in the country and that we have the ability to be the best team in the country. And we all know that, and we have full belief in that locker room and full confidence in that locker room that we'll take that number 1 spot back when it's our time to. And so, yeah, I mean, it's tough, obviously, dropping down a little bit, but every journey, every year is different. And so this year looks a little different for us, but we know at the end of the day we're coming back to take that number 1 again.
No, I don't got anything to say. I feel like, you know, sports are a funny thing, and you know, anyone can be anyone on any given day, and you know, us at Ohio have proved that. You know, we kind of flip flop back and forth, and you know, it makes it great hockey to watch, great hockey to play in, and you know, a ranking doesn't determine who's going to end up with a trophy at the end.
Ava, going back to when you were gone, I guess I'm curious, what were some of the things, how were you trying to, you know, without getting that game, you know, game-to-game experience like you would here, what were some of the things you were trying to do to kind of, you know, stay sharp? Share with us what that process was like.
Yeah, I think you have to kind of take advantage of the resources and the things that you have in front of you, and it was kind of volatile there. You never really knew if you were gonna have ice or if you weren't gonna have ice, and you know, the team was taking days off in between games, and so that kind of put me in a bit of a tough spot sometimes in terms of getting on the ice. So obviously I took advantage of every ice slot we had, and I was out there for the whole time. And but on top of that, obviously spent a lot of time in the gym, on the bike, making sure just physically in shape as much as I could. And then mentally, I watched a lot of video, watched you know my games from January, and kind of looked at that and kind of tried to put together some things that I was mentally trying to work on, physically trying to work on. We had some great like visual training that's like online, and so you're able to kind of work on tracking, that kind of thing, without being on the ice. But I think more than that, I think for me, I tried to reframe it a little bit as kind of a reset in the middle of the year where you wouldn't really normally get a reset. February is kind of a sprint, play every weekend essentially, and so I kind of try to take it as, I've played all these games already, a little bit physically, mentally, a little tired, a little drained, and reframed it a little bit differently as, I can take this time for myself to focus on me and things that maybe I've been putting on the back burner, and make sure that I'm mentally in a good place to be able to come back and play great playoff hockey.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.